Hey, how's everybody doing? I kind of have to do some juggling. I don't know if it's going to make a difference or not, but I have Fortune 2 on this. So on the off chance that it's going to give me more nether wart, I'm going to harvest it with it. Okay, when I was making the bed, or right after I made the bed, however you want to look at it, around the time I was making the bed, 'cause I can't remember which one it was, I turned on the paranormal channel on Pluto TV. If you're interested in UFOs and that, even as a hobby like I am, it's not bad. Some of them are better than others, but I got to be honest with you. As a whole, I have found it better than like the old days when I was still healthy. Um, the old days of watching Hulu and Amazon Prime. They had the absolute worst. They've gotten a lot better, both of them. And I think it might be because Disney bought out Hulu Prime, I'm not sure, but I think Disney buying out Hulu is what improved it. But it was just some of the most awful stuff you could watch. And and but they were talking about now again before you'll get me to be a hardcore believer, I need proof, like real proof. Um, there's people in the UFO community. They are a lot like other groups, like the Flat Earth group, they it doesn't really matter what it is. They're just gonna latch onto it and go with it. And I'm not, well, for the most part, I'm not in that camp. I'm probably guilty of it as much as anybody occasionally. But, but, because there was one, and this was on, I think it was on Amazon Prime, might have been a Hulu. There was one where this guy he had this video, and he was promising all this stuff. He was just talking about it. And the whole amount of the video I watched, it was like an hour or two, and I think I watched like 20 minutes of it. And I can't remember if I fast forwarded to see it, but he kept promising that he was going to show all this stuff. And whatever I watched, all it was him walking around in the woods in a trench coat. None of the stuff he mentioned ever materialized, like in his hand, and like you take like Linda Moulton Howell, there is a clip I saw, and it might have been on Ancient Aliens. And I am not trying to badmouth her. I don't know. I wasn't there. If she had been the one, if I'm remembering it right, uh, she she was reporting what somebody else had done. Now, if she had been the one who had seen it, I might be a little more willing to believe it. Because I don't think she'd lie. I really don't. But I think there's a lot of this stuff, and I could be wrong, but I think there's a lot of this stuff that she wants to believe, and I think she's seen enough that she gives people a lot of credit where maybe they don't deserve it. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. But she was talking about it's one of those keyhole, Ancient Aliens did a whole episode, but it's one of those keyhole things. And I don't know if the people she knew were Native American or were being assisted by the Native Americans. But she claimed that a medicine man, some kind of spiritualist in the Native Americans, taught him how to make a sound, a frequency, like a tone singing, and he was in that thing and made it and just disappeared. And if I'm understanding it right, and I'm not, and again, I might have, because I was like, I was watching, I was trying to go to sleep, so maybe I got it wrong. But it sounded like she was being told this by somebody, not that she had seen it. And if she had seen it, I would be a little more likely to at least want to believe it, if not believe it. she did an interview with Theory of Everything, and I haven't seen it show. I wonder if he's doing them anymore. I haven't seen him show up in my recommended feeds on YouTube. I don't watch YouTube as much anymore either. Jesus Christ. But a lot of... I'm gonna dump this shit. But she did an interview with him, and this is a guy, well, one, he is not an expert on the UFO. His fans and supporters want him to do these interviews, so he wants to do. And he finds it interesting, but I don't mean it in a bad way, but I think I know more about the UFO mystery than he does. And he's honestly trying to figure it out. And he's got like two, I don't know if he's got two advanced degrees, and I don't know if they're both in mathematics, but they're not your underwater basket weaving courses. And he's got these degrees, and this is a guy that should be solving big problems. Well, he's finding he could make a lot more money doing these YouTube videos than what he could likely make in his field. So he does the interviews. And he finds them interesting. He really likes them. And he was honestly, I think, because I watched the interview, and he had already done it, and he had time to write kind of an apology or something, because apparently there was some big blow up between him and Linda Moulton Howell. And the only thing I can figure is she is so used to doing events and interviews, not with honest people trying to get to the bottom, but she's used to doing these things with, you know, the people that really, they don't need any convincing. You know, you could come in and probably tell them anything and they would believe it. You know, and she's used to that. So when she's got someone who doesn't know the field and is asking honest questions, I think it kind of took her off guard, and I think she got a little defensive. And I think it's fairly earned, because there's a lot of people out there who are... they don't want to know the truth either. And they've always been there. They're the people that are going to basically, all they want to do is try and debunk you. That's all they want to do. And I think she might have thought that's who he was, and he was just honestly trying to get to the bottom of a subject that he doesn't understand. But I gotta be honest, I don't think she'd be dishonest. And so if she had been the one who had seen that, I think I would have found it a little easier to believe. And but I was watching it, and they were talking about, and this is the thing, I honestly don't know. It seems like there's a lot more than what there used to be. But if you look into the UFO history, whether it's true or not, I can't tell you. But in the history, there's talk about how we are, like, the governments of our planet have already met, and I always thought it was like 20 or 30, met like that many different alien species. And they were talking about how it's like in the 60s now. I don't know if any of it's true. I can tell you this, and this was on an old TV show called Sightings. It was on, I think, NBC back in the day. And I don't think they show it anymore, but Sci-Fi Channel ran it for a while, back when they weren't making content. They were just showing it. They ran it. It was called Sightings, and they kind of looked into this stuff. Well, what they found was, and they told you who it was. There was a fire department. Somebody discovered that in this fire department's manual was instructions on how to recover an alien spacecraft. And it sounded like it might have been given to them by the government. It was one of those things that, it was, I don't know if it was, would be the fire department, the mayor, but somebody wasn't too smart, because if this is true, more than likely this was something that they were not supposed to put in the fucking fire department manual for each and everybody. This is probably one of those things where, well, we'll just kind of keep this hidden in this glass thing, and if we actually get one of these, we'll break the son of a bitch open and we'll train everybody quick before they go. That would be my guess what should have, if it was real. And but that kind of goes in with this, because I learned about that about the same time. I think it was on Sightings. I learned all about that about the time I learned that there were all these different alien races that we were supposed to be meeting with. And they were talking about that. Well, then the other thing they brought up was they were talking about these different groups. And I can't give you the names. I can't remember them. But like, oh, well, there's this group, and these are the guys that do UFO retrievals. Oh, there's this group. Oh, these are the guys that pick up the bot. It's that kind of thing. It's like, apparently this whole UFO thing was compartmentalized. And that was the gist of it. Well, the one group was the Men in Black. Well, then they said, well, all of these groups answer to Majestic 12. And again, if you follow the UFO thing, you will know what that is. If not, I'll give you the cliff notes of it. There was, I don't remember if they were paper or if they were on microfilch, but this was back in, I think, the 80s. Some of you probably weren't even born yet. And what happened was, somebody got these documents, or the film of them, and it was some kind of a White House briefing from Eisenhower, or from Harry Truman to Eisenhower, and there's some indication that Eisenhower never got it, if it's true. But what happened was, they had, after Roswell, created this group called Majestic 12, and they were the ones that were in charge of it. They did not answer to Congress, the president, and so on and so forth. Well, in the leaked thing, if it was real, they had the first, from the minute this thing was created, it had the next 12 CIA directors on it. That was the claim. And I think the guy's name, this would have been, I think, the guy that started out when they created it, and his name was Forrestal, I think. And there is claims that he was killed to shut him up, because he did not agree with Harry Truman about the secrecy that was required. So Harry Truman had him leave the group. And all I can tell you is, real or not, I don't know. I'm just trying to be honest here. I honestly don't know. But real or not, he died around that time. And again, I don't, if you're someone that has evidence that they were lying, hey, please pass it on. But they were claiming that he suddenly fell out of his window at Bethesda. And the only thing that came to mind when I heard him, because I've heard this story before, this was not new to me, but all I could think of was, God, this sounds like fucking Putin. You know, because you got all these people that are against Putin over there, and they're just suddenly falling out of windows. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I did find it funny. I did absolutely find it funny. And of I want to get that thing, that smelter filled up again. And there's something I'm doing kind of off and on, and I'm removing lava, and I don't like to throw lava out because you can't reproduce it. Once it's gone, it's gone. So I tend to like to use lava, and I got a pretty good iron farm, so I should just make the buckets, come over here and dump them. Well, what I did is when I was going to go make the bed, I just left it on, barricaded myself in, and then let that thing run to burn up the lava. Jesus Christ. I think it's in peaceful. Normally and I forget a lot. Normally when I come down here, I try to put it in hardcore because if I'm down here and I go under a bastion, I don't want to kill those guys with the big axes. But I think in it, kind of like I did with the uh, the Nether farm or the Guardian farm. I sooner or later I forget. I'm having a bad day. I'm not thinking about it. Ooh. Oh yeah. I have literally so far in this game not found a lot of ancient debris. I just haven't. That might be what I'll start doing. I didn't really think of this before, but I can just create a stack of chests near that thing and just bring my lava in here or stack it up out there. Because with that iron farm, I can make well, within reason, I can make just about an unlimited supply of buckets. Yeah, I felt like crap after I made the bed. Too much moving around. I feel a little better now. I just ate. If I don't quit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up there. I made some breathing potions the last time I was on after I killed the stream, like when she left me. But she started wanting to hold hands, and I'm like, I can't play this game if she's going to do that. And I really did not want to. I wanted to. Like I said, she's getting old, and I'm coming to the conclusion that I might have to just take her in, because I can't keep dealing with her pissing outside the litter, and I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I literally do not. If she is, she's gonna pay for it, but I can't get mad about it. I just can't keep doing it, and so when I get completely better, I think I'm gonna just, and then hopefully I'll try and get the body back so I can bury her on the property here with the other animals. And because of that, I'll have to buy a shovel because my dipshit sister sold off all the fucking stuff we need. All the stuff she was not supposed to sell. She sold it off, so I'll have to buy a shovel. You know what I thought was funny is any of the stuff she wanted, any of the stuff that was supposed to be in the trust, so when it was sold, it would pay for the house so we can stay here and live. That's the way the trust is written. I didn't have a damn thing to do with it. She snuck. The only reason I found out about it is because Mom told me. But she basically was trying to sneak Mom out of the house, take her to the lawyer, and do all this. And she doesn't even know what's in it. It states in here that the trust is to maintain the lifestyle that we were used to. Well, that's living here under a house. It states in there that unless we abandon the property, they can't sell it. That's right in there. You have to be a fucking moron not to be able to read it. It's also in there that if they feel that the house, like if there's some reason, and it have to be something that would pass a court, where this place is not safe for us, they can sell it provided they provide us another place to live. It's right in there. I I didn't have nothing to do with it. She did this on her own, and there's a lot more to this, but hey, it is what it is. And I'm sorry, but when you are the trustee of the thing, to sit there and lie like she did, where she told us, oh yeah, we're not selling. She basically told us that the lawnmower that we used, the lawnmowers we used to mow the field and stuff in the yard, her husband had this is coming from her. It was something along the lines of, my brother remembers this too, something along the lines of her husband had this stupid idea to sell all of it, and then they'd just bring their lawnmower down from up home. And she said no. Well, and so and I go, yeah, just let us keep this one, let us keep the push mower, and I go, we need to keep the snowblower. Oh, she sold all of it. She fucking lied to us. She told us one thing, and then I found out the day of the auction she had lied to us, and she's selling it all. I told her, I mean, when it came to her family, her kids and her family, they could keep whatever they wanted. This big china cabinet, or whatever you want to call mug cabinet or whatever, I looked online for things similar. This thing should have been worth somewhere between $2,000 and $9,000. She just gave it to one of her kids, and if her kid wouldn't have taken, she was going to take it. And I mean, just unbelievable. But when it came to her and her family taking whatever they wanted, oh, that was okay. But if we wanted anything more than the shit she was pushing on us, like, oh, well, here's some knickknacks. She was going to my oldest brother, well, do you want those plates back? And I'm going by what she said. My oldest brother didn't really care. It was something. Some of the plates were ones that I believe. Well, she thought. I don't know. She was saying that he bought them, and she was all focused on those plates. And I remember her. It sounded like 3 different times she asked him, and he's like, "Well, hey, if somebody else wants them." And then I think just to get her to go away, and he's kind of in on this too, but on these plates, going by what she said, he didn't seem to give a shit. Otherwise, it would have been like, oh yeah, definitely get those plates for me on the first try. Well, like the third time, he's like, well, yeah, if nobody wants them, I guess, I don't want them thrown out. He probably threw them out after he got them just to shut her the fuck up. And I don't know. And but when we wanted stuff, oh, it can't have that, blah blah blah. Well, all of that stuff was in the trust, and me and my brother are the only beneficiaries of the trust. We should have had the greatest share of what we were going to keep and what we weren't. And I don't know. I oh shit. But I'll have to get a shovel so I can bury him. The only cool thing is, and I don't know what this has to do with anything, but we did have the sheriff's department here. It was the day of the auction, because I had finally, when I found out she had been lying to us, I fucking had it. And she kept telling us that, oh well, they might take stuff they shouldn't, and then I finally told her, and this was the week of I'm like, well, then you need to just postpone this. I'm sorry, but if you keep telling us that they're gonna steal shit and sell it, that they're not supposed to be selling, I don't care if you got a contract or not. You need to break it, because you're responsible. Not so much them, you are, because you're the trustee. And but I told her, you need to stop this until you're ready. I go, you can't sit there and through your piss poor planning create an emergency for us. I did tell her that. It's something I learned a long time ago from somebody I worked with, and I didn't word it this way, but that's one military guy. I think he was in the motor pool, sergeant, or he knew somebody, and he's like, piss poor planning prevents perfect performance, and piss poor planning on your part does not create an emergency on my part. And she didn't seem to fucking understand. And so I ended up calling the sheriff, and I'm like, look, I want these people trespass. I don't need her coming, because she'd come out and I'd be like, look, look, I thought you weren't selling this. Why is this not marked up like it's not for sale? Oh, we're selling it. No, you're not. We need it tomorrow. Oh, we're going to do it. She's basically going to do the dumb shit plan. And these were what she told us. This stupid plan, or whatever it was, she worded it. That was the impression I got. It was her husband's stupid plan or whatever. And she was now going to do it. And I go, look, you told us you're not selling. I go, you're a trustee. I didn't lie. I just changed my mind. Well, you got to have a fucking mind first to change it. But she would do this shit. She'd come out and she'd want you to do something. And when you tell her no, then she'd fucking just turn into a bitch. And I think there's a lot of people, if you're white, you probably worked with someone that was like that, probably in management. But I just, it's like, no, we're not doing it. And then the day of it, she's like, oh, she came in after she'd been a total fucking bitch. Then she came in, and this was after, it might have been after the sheriff was there or not. I don't know. And I got issues with that sheriff, because, granted, he's not a lawyer but he seemed to know certain things. And when you're a sheriff, you're there to enforce laws. Well, this is the thing. I talked to somebody who works in the insurance field, and they were aware of what my sister, they seemed to be aware of it. And I don't know how much of it my sister had done before, but I had talked to my sister, and then I had talked to somebody from his office, the insurance guy's office, and I go, well, yeah, there's an insurance policy for me and my brother, and I go, I just want to be able to get mine, and they go, oh, that all has to go through the will, and I remember having to sign something, and I'm not even sure I was an adult. This thing's like 20, 30 years old. Now, the insurance guy goes, yeah, I started this like right after I started working here. This is the beginning of his career. But I was flat out told that it had to go through the estate. So I'm like, well, fuck it. If it's got to go. Well, they got a hold of me. This would have been March, February or March, and they got a hold of me about that, and it was a different girl in the office. And I go, well, look, I talked to somebody there. I don't know if it was you or not, but I go, they told me that has to go through the will, and I go, the last I heard, my sister wanted to sell it. Oh shit. And they said, and they were real cagey about this. They go, well, regardless of what happened before, where we're at now is we want to transfer this over to you, or you can cash it in. And she said, and that's where we're at now, regardless of what happened before. And I'm like, okay. And then she goes, and we need to get a hold of your brother because the same deal with him. And I'm like, well, I'll let him know. And then we went down and dealt with it. And he came and talked to me, and he said, so it sounds like she must have reached out because, those things there, and this is another thing she didn't seem to understand, because long before we knew there was a trust, at least her, maybe my brother, oldest brother, they didn't want us to know about that trust. Because even though the trust says you can't kick us out of here, you can't kick us out, you can only sell it if we abandon it, both of them were trying to get me and my brother to move out. This is before, they were trying to get my brother to move out even before my mom died. And then as soon as she died, they were trying to get both of us to move out. Well, this was October. We did not find out until December about the trust. She didn't tell us nothing. She was telling me that there was going to be a trust with our money in it. So I told her flat out, I go, look, if my money, the stuff I'm supposed to inherit, ends up in a trust that I don't control, I go, I am going to consider it theft. I told her that flat out. I go, whatever you do with anybody else, I go, you leave me out of your fucking bullshit. I go, my money is my money, she wanted my oldest brother, who's a fucking Trump. Well, I don't know if he's a Trump supporter, but he's a fucking diehard Republican. He voted for probably Reagan and Bush. They brainwashed him in the military, and but he voted for Bush both times. And the worst part of it is he's sitting there, like, one of the times he was doing, he's like, well, he's not that good, but he's only going to be there. It's like, well, if he ain't any good, why are you fucking voting for him? You're like a poster boy for the, you're a fucking poster boy for the fucking term limits group. You're the reason they think we need term limits, because you've got people that are just too stupid to vote for they'll vote for a bad candidate rather than voting for somebody good, just because of their political agenda. And I told her, I go, I do not want any fucking MAGA shitbag in charge of my money. And then she's like, oh, we can fix that later. No, I told her, I go, if my money ends up somewhere where it's controlled, I go, I'm going to consider it theft. I absolutely am. And she didn't say nothing. She just went on. And oh shit, there we go. Well, what I have found out since then, and the sheriff even backed us up on this, like he came and read the letter from the lawyer, and that letter from the lawyer, which me and my brother got in December, it was from my mom's lawyer. It stated that there was money in the bank, and I don't know that he was right. My mom wasn't in very good shape, so I don't. My mom could have basically told him wrong. My sister could have. I don't know. I really don't. And maybe everything was done right. I just don't know. But he said in the letter that there was money at Old National Bank and Edward Jones, and that it was there for all of us to get an equal share. Well, I got money at Edward Jones. My middle brother, it looks to me, and I don't know, maybe because I thought there was more money there, but everything I have seen, it looks like me and my sister were the only ones that got anything. It is what it is. And so that's where we had that. And then when the sheriff was there, he read the letter from the lawyer. He's like, well, yeah. And then he read the trust. And this is the part I don't understand. He's like, well, you should have had a lawyer a long time ago. I go, she took our money. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, all that money we were supposed to get in the bank and at the brokerage, she took it. I got the money from the brokerage. But the thing that I don't understand is when me and my brother were at the insurance company, he told me flat out, insurance wise, that if he had talked to my sister about the benefits in that insurance policy, which I think they may have, his wife did. He admitted, he goes, well, my wife almost screwed up because she tried calling my sister. He ended up putting a stop to that. But he goes, she tried calling her, and he goes, luckily your sister doesn't have a voicemail set up. So we were saved. But he said if he had talked to her about my insurance, he could go to jail. It would be illegal. I can't remember if he said it or not. I think he said he could go to jail for that. But he said it would be illegal. Well, illegal is illegal. And this is what I don't understand. But if it's illegal, then why is it okay for her to go into Old National and Edward Jones and take money that doesn't belong to her? That should be illegal too. If the insurance guy is telling me it would be illegal for him to even discuss my benefits or my brother's benefits, it definitely should be illegal for them to give it to her. And so I reached out on Twitter to the bank and to Edward Jones, and Edward Jones just finally, it might not even be related, but Edward Jones got a hold of me. They sent me. I'm on their text alerts, and with the shit that I'm going through with my foot, I got a lot to deal with. So that's on the back burner for right now because I think what I need to do is get a lawyer. I got injured on the property, and as soon as my foot's better, I'm going to reach out to these public injury lawyers and see if they can go after the estate and just get what they can from the insurance company. And then I can use that once I get that money, because those guys might work pro bono. And it should be pretty easy. It was on this property, long story. But it should be pretty easy to get, whatever, If I get at least $100,000, that would be enough to fund a good lawsuit on the bank, on the brokerage house, and on her. And I am not 100% sure, but I think she canceled the homeowner's insurance because when she found out she couldn't sell the property, or she might not be able to sell it, she came to me, and this was before the auction, before the sale. And she goes, "Well, you and your brother will need to just buy this place. If you don't want to move out, you want to stay here, you're just going to have to buy it so we can get the name out of Mom's estate." Well, no, you put it into the trust. But the problem is she fucked up the trust. There should be one trust with the house and not our money, but the money from the estate, everything that was sold and whatnot. Even like the stuff she gave to her kids should have been sold. And that money should be there to pay for things. And then you could put the house and everything else in there, you know. And but that's what she did, because she didn't want to put the estate into it, like the house and everything else. She wanted to put our money in there. And so I've got a trust, and my brother's got a trust, and there's literally nothing in it. That was something the sheriff told her, because I go, "Look, as far as I know, hey, what's up? I broke my foot. I don't know if you're still there, Schrodo. I am really sorry. I just noticed it. I broke my foot like 6 weeks ago, and I just have not been able to get around. I'm starting to get, they got I don't have it on now, but they gave me a boot, and I can put that boot on, and I can put a little bit of weight on it. I'm starting to get around a little bit better. And so I was able to other than that, I've just been playing on my phone, playing on my phone and that. And when I was able to move around a little bit, I brought the PlayStation or the Xbox down and a few other things. So I'm not up to where I was before with equipment or anything else, but I'm doing what I can. Glad to see you guys. Like I got this tablet, and that's all I can really watch Twitter on. So I can't open multiple channels. And then when I leave, I can't carry it with me. It's pretty much here because I just don't want to drop it. I was lucky to get it where it is without damaging it. But oh my God. Well, to get back to that story, when the sheriff was here, I kind of told him, I go, "Look, this is the thing. I don't think she understands," but I go, "Everything that she sells from the estate has to go into the estate." And so I go, "I think she's embezzling from, I don't think she knows she's doing it. I think she's stupidly doing it." But there was a collection of coins my dad had. Well, what she did was she just split it up into quarters. And I don't even know if I got a full quarter. She said it was, but I got a feeling she's like, "Well, here's one or two for me, and one for them, and one for them, and here's 3 or 4 for me." Either that or she kept them. She went through, because it took a while. This was not like, the weekend after my mom died, she sorted them out. She took forever, because I don't think we got them until January or February. So she probably went through and found out which ones were the best and gave everybody else the shit ones, and she kept the good ones. Well, the sheriff let her know. He's like, "Look, the money at the banks and stuff like that generally is not in the estate." So he goes, "My understanding is you can't take the money from the banks and treat it like it's in the estate." And he goes, "That's my understanding." It was along the lines of that. He let her know, "That's my understanding of what you did." And then the other thing was, he told her, he goes, "You should really get a hold of your lawyer quick and make sure you're not screwing anything up." And the thing I'm thinking of is, well, okay, if you know this, if you're aware of this, imagine if you lived in a place where laws were enforced. This is a guy with a gun and a badge. He could have fucking acted on this, and he didn't. He absolutely didn't. But he could have done that. And then he also let her know, he goes, "Another thing is," he goes, "again, I don't know." Because, he didn't do a fucking investigation. He just fucking stopped in for a few minutes and fucking left. But he said, all this money, you have to create an account in the name of the trust. You can't just put this in your pocket or bury it in the yard. You have to put this in a special account. Well, she's been real quiet, and she has not come out here. she doesn't come in uninvited anymore. She doesn't come out and come in. And after I broke my foot after the sheriff left the day of the thing. They come out, and every week or so they come out and mow the thing. They just I think I mentioned this the other day on the stream. They knocked off the one rain gutter. I don't know if they're probably just gonna leave it there. They don't give a shit. They don't care. And but no, the so I don't know. But he did let her know, you might want to. So maybe she did go talk to my mom's lawyer, because they haven't been giving us any shit about selling the house so far. Now maybe they're waiting until my foot gets better. I don't know. But and I actually, now again, if it's not somebody, it looks legit because it's got the official check mark and everything else. But I did talk to somebody from Old National Bank, because I put Old National and Edward Jones on blast for what my sister did. Because I'm like, look, according to the guy at the insurance company, and there was a guy at the bank who dealt with, he didn't work for the bank. He works for a financial company that does annuities and stuff like that. And he basically said the same thing the insurance guy did. He's like, look, he goes, and I'm wondering, because there ended up being another annuity. Now, when I called in December, and my brother called in December, Old National Bank was just fucking clueless. They go, oh, we don't, they told me and my brother the same thing. They go, oh, we don't have any money for you. You'll have to talk to your sister. And uh, and then fuck, end of the month, it was like maybe a week before Christmas. They they got a hold of me, and they had an annuity. It ain't that much. And they had an annuity, and they wanted to get a hold of me. And here's the thing, it's tied up, and I'm gonna write my legislators, both in Washington and local, and ask them to help out if they can, because my understanding is they were given the death certificate for my mom and my dad, stating they're dead. And my dad was the primary beneficiary, and I was the backup beneficiary. Well, since my mom's dead and he's dead, it should automatically, according to the bank, according to this guy named Mike at Old National, they should be handing over that money. Well, they're making a big deal out of the fact that my dad's estate was never put into probate. I'm trying to think of the name. And according to him, in Wisconsin, they don't have to put dad's estate into probate, because it's the laws in this state, according to him, I don't know, they automatically go from one spouse to the other. So you don't have to probate that. And I kind of want to get somebody in the state or in Washington to tell them, hey, if you guys are going to play these games, then you're not allowed to sell your products anymore in this state until you want to follow Wisconsin law, because from what I'm being told, Wisconsin law does not require that. So if they're selling that in here, they should have to live by those rules, the full faith and credit of Wisconsin. And if they don't, well, then they should automatically start getting out of whatever they're in and not sell anymore here. That's the pitch I'm going to make. I don't know if it'll do any good. But like, if I have to get a lawyer to fight this shit, it's not that much money. It'll probably cost mostly what it's going to take me to get this. And I don't know if there's any guarantee I'll be able to sue them for my legal fees. That would be nice. But they keep sending me this paperwork, and I took it out to the guy at the bank, Mike. I go, well, yeah, they're sending me this, so maybe if I just fill this out and send it in with the death certificates, we'll be good to go. Well, he looked it over and he goes, this is no different than what you filled out and what I filled out. He goes, this is no different. And so he goes, this shouldn't help you. He goes, I've already appealed it, and I'm kind of waiting to see if that appeal gets going. And ain't doing me any good. And but fucking A. Because I read it and it sounded like they wanted like the will, and I go, I can get a copy of the will and send it in to him. He goes, that's not what they need. And I go, well, okay. He goes, I understand. He understood why I felt the way I did, but he goes, that's not what they're asking for. He goes, it's real subtle. And I'm thinking, man, these guys should not be able to offer annuities in this state anymore. If they want to do shit like that, I mean, they just really shouldn't. And but yeah, so hey, if you see this on YouTube, if you know any really 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 good injury attorneys, one that'll work pro bono would be great. That work in Wisconsin. I could really use one because, like I said, I have to go after the estate. I really don't feel good about it. I really don't. But with all the other bullshit going on, I just don't see how I can avoid it. Um, maybe if we can rack up enough damage, I can just assume the house instead of money and just give me the house, put it in my name, and the bullshit. And the other thing is, now I did this when I was talking to Old National on Twitter. They were, if it's really Old National, they were put. I haven't heard nothing from them now, but I've been getting phone calls. Nobody leaving message, nobody shooting me a text. But I will reach out to them just in case. If not, Plan B. But they did reach out and said they'd take a look at it. They sounded like they were going to have somebody call me, and then my foot got injured. And but the thing I showed him, I showed him a text with my sister. I go, like 1 week, and I think it was Friday, me and my brother both called the bank. And then, he called Edward Jones because we had that letter saying, hey, there's an equal share for everybody. I don't think that's true. Because that one thing at Old National, I was the only beneficiary. I'm wondering how many other things I was the only beneficiary of, and my sister maybe changed them after my mom was kind of out of it. That's what I'm wondering. I really am. But I told him, I go, look, when I talked to the people at your bank, they told me they did not have my money. My sister did. And I once I found that out, I sent her a text message. And I go, hey, since we got this trust that you drew up while mom was sick, I don't remember, I'm paraphrasing. I don't think I said that. But since we got this trust, I'm going to need so much a week for groceries. I'm going to need so much a week for this. I'm going to need the electrical paid for every month. And I'm going to need that money. So you just, give me this much a month. There's language in that trust that when we ask her for money, and the way it sounds, we can travel. We can go, we can do entertainment. We can travel. It's wide open to what we can spend the money. Maybe not everything, but it's pretty wide open what we can spend the money in that trust on. I told her, and I was asking for like groceries, electrical bill, pay the internet, that kind of thing. And she goes, oh, there's no money in the trust. And I got it on the text. I was able to show the bank. I go, she goes, oh, there's no money in the trust until we sell the house. Ha, 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 And I told him, I go, your people at the bank told me that she had my money. And I go, she's telling me there's no money. So I go, I really got to ask, where the fuck is my money? And I told him, I go, I got to be honest with you. If you gave her my money, that's between you and her. You still owe me my money. And I don't want to wait for you to have to fucking collect it from her. I go, you can pay me my money, and then if you need to, you can sue her, send her to jail, whatever. But I go, I want my money, and I don't want to have to wait for her to get her fucking head out of her ass. And so I don't know. I really don't know. But like I said, I got something from Edward Jones, and then he called me, and I think I will respond to the digital thing that I got. And depending, because it might be something completely unrelated. And the other thing is, I got a hold of people in the legislative branch after my foot got damaged, because I told them, I go, hey, I was supposed to get a call from Old National, and I didn't. And I sort of told them what was going on, and I go, this is what I don't understand. I go, I've written to the governor, I've written to the president, and I've gotten responses from both of them. And they're like, oh, well, you need to get a lawyer. You need to do this. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay. This is the thing. Apparently, you can steal from people if they're poor. You can. And the governor, he was pretty decent. He gave me a link to a free website or a free lawyer service. They don't cover this. He said they might not be able to help you, and I completely understand. They can either help me with this one issue, or they can probably help like 50 or 100 people, because this one's going to be messy. All I got from them is, if they try to evict me from the house, they will represent me, it sounds like. But they won't go after the money she stole. They won't go after, all this other shit, potentially. And I told the one girl, I go, look, I understand, but I go, here's the thing. I got some money, but I go, if I spend it on a lawyer, I go, then I might not have any money to live on. And she got real quiet, and she was pretty nice about it. She goes, I understand. She goes, I completely understand. And they offered, it's like everybody I talked to gave me somebody else to call to. Well, they either didn't work in Wisconsin, didn't work in my county, or they wouldn't cover it either. And so I don't know. But I kind of told them what was going on, and I go, this is the thing I don't understand. I go, I had the sheriff here, and I go, the deputy basically stated that the money in the bank was not part of the estate, and is his understanding of it is. And he told her flat out that she should get a hold of her lawyer, to make sure she isn't breaking the law. And I go, what I don't understand is why he didn't investigate it, why he didn't move on it, and why he didn't lock somebody up. Because I go, when I talk, and I told him what with the insurance, I go, that guy said if he even talked to them about my benefits, it would be illegal. And I go, the annuity guy at the bank said the same thing. I can't even talk to your sister about your benefits, or it would be illegal. And I go, how the fuck is not giving my money to her not illegal? And I asked him, I go, these are the people in Washington, the senator and the House member. I go, is there anybody at the federal government that enforces these laws? Because I go, apparently nowhere in Wisconsin are these laws enforced. I go, she can come in and steal this shit, and it is kosher. And like I said, after the sheriff talked to her, and he let her know, when I showed it to him, because he kept saying, and this was my fault. It was absolutely my fault. Because he kept going, well, this is like she's your guardian. And the thing I failed to remember to show him, it's the line in there where it states when we ask her for money, she has no discretion in it. None. She just has to hand, as long as it's reasonable and as long as it's covered in the trust. Like if we wanted money to go to Washington, D.C. to visit the monuments, sounds like we can do that. If we wanted money to go see the newest movie, and again, I'm not saying we're not doing this, but grocery money, electrical bill, paying for the cable or the internet, these are things that are all covered in this. And when we ask her for it, according to this paperwork, what's in there, she doesn't have any discretion over it. She just has to hand it over. And I wished I could have showed him that. Like, what part of this makes it look like she's our guardian? which one of this makes it seem like she's in charge of us? And he would have been like everything else. He's like, oh well, it looks like they can just do this, and I'm like, okay, well what about this? He goes, oh yeah, well it seems like they can do this. Okay, well here's this language. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I guess they can't do that. And I wished I would have thought to show, but he did go out, according to him, he did go out and tell her that you can't sell this place unless you. And I had already told her that. I go, there's language in there that you cannot sell this until you provide us another place. She goes, well, I'm not doing that. And I go, well, then according to this, you can't sell it. And he told her that. Well, whatever has happened, she's been leaving us the fuck alone. My oldest brother has been leaving us the fuck alone. But we're not getting any money. I told her I needed so much money a month from December. There's almost 6 months that she owes me because she didn't give me anything. I got to be honest with you. I really wish the money would just be turned over to us, because I would rather do what I'm doing with it now, spend it on exactly what we need. But this idea of her thinking she's in charge and basically wanting to deny, because the language is in there. When we get sick and when we die, anything that's left gets turned over to the other kids. And, when she did this thing, the way they should have done it is mine and my brother's trust. It should have been worded that, like, if I die and he's still alive, that trust should go to him. Or if he dies and I'm still alive, that trust, because again, this was supposed to be one trust. It should have been. Because it wasn't my money, it wasn't his money. It was supposed to be the common stuff in the estate. And it really should have been one trust. And then, like whichever one of us goes first, the remainder of it is there to help the other one out. But as I'm reading it, like when my brother goes, I'm not trying to get rid of him or anything, but and things might happen. Anybody can get hit by a bus or fall trying to go out on the fucking porch like I did. But with his health, it sounds like he'll go first. And he just let me know the other day that everything he's got is supposed to be for a do not resuscitate. But when he goes, what'll happen is whatever's left in his trust will get split up between me, my brother, and my sister. And again, with what she's already done, she'll probably try and take my money and put it into a trust so that when I die, she'll get more of my money, would be my guess. But I don't know. But like I said, I really don't know. I will let you know if some, as long as I don't have to sign some kind of a confidentiality thing. But when I find out what's going on, but right now, all I can tell you is Edward Jones and Old National, it really appears that they took my money and gave it to my sister, and they shouldn't have. And I haven't been able to get anywhere to be fair, for like 6 weeks now, I've been dealing with a broken foot. And when I'm doing the rehab stuff on it, it tends to wear me out. So, they may have been trying to, and I know Edward Jones just started trying to get a hold of me, and the Old National may have. So I really don't want to badmouth them, but right now it really looks like they took my money, and I hope I'm wrong. I sincerely do, but it looks like they took my money, and Old National did, and it looks like both of them took my brother's money, and I don't know. I just don't know, but I told them in Washington, the legislators, my congressmen, I go, if there's nobody that'll actually enforce the law, and I go again, I've heard it from two different people who both work in this area, that if they even told her what my benefits were, they'd be in trouble. It would be, they both use the word illegal. But I go, if you guys can't do the right thing, I asked them, I go, can you at least get assisted suicide legal nationwide? Because I go, if they're gonna steal the house from me, I was supposed to fucking inherit the house. And then she waits until, I mean, she knew like 6 months or a year before my mom died, and my mom didn't want to change it. Well, she waits until my mom's just, I mean, my mom should have been in hospice. She put going into hospice off until she could get this shit done. But she waits until my mom's sick as shit and delusional and fucking tries sneaking her out of the house. And like I told the deputy, I go, they almost had to put her in a fucking wheelbarrow to get her out of the house. She was that bad. And he just kind of looked at me, and I'm not making that up. That because that the one day they took, at least the one day, because twice they met with the lawyer, and the one day she had had a massive bout of diarrhea before my sister came to get her, and she was having a hell of a time getting around. I don't know how she got her in there. Maybe I don't know if she dropped her or not, but I don't know how she got her into her house without dropping her. As bad as my mom was. And but no, it's like, my God, man, I don't fucking get this. But I go, if she's gonna steal the house, or if my health gets worse than what it is, I go, it would really be nice to have the same dignified choices that we have with our pets. You know, so you can basically make it so they don't have to suffer going forward. Peace out, everybody.